Welcome back to the channel, everyone. It is a fantastic day to dive deep into the drama of Port Charles. Grab your coffee, settle in, and let's talk about the absolute fire happening on our screens right now. We have so much to unpack today, so let's get right into it. Can we be honest about this for a second? I have just finished watching the latest developments, and I am absolutely vibrating with a mix of fierce admiration and sheer, unadulterated frustration. Let me say this clearly. The scene where Scout asks Tracy for permission to use the Quartermain Lake for a breast cancer research fundraising swim in Monica's honor is, structurally and emotionally, one of the most brilliant things this show has done in months. But it also exposes the gaping wounds in how certain characters have been written recently. As someone who analyzes script structure for a living, I cannot stay quiet about what is actually happening beneath the surface of this storyline. I am not calmly reviewing this. I am looking at the mechanics of this plot, and I am seeing a masterclass in character agency desperately trying to salvage a severely damaged narrative. And let's start with the absolute triumph of this setup. Scout wanting to honor Monica Quartermain with this swim is not just a throwaway plot point. It is a profound, deeply resonant use of show history. For decades, soap operas have struggled to honor their legacy characters without making it feel like a dusty history lesson. But here, the writers are tying a very real, very grounded piece of Monica's past, her battle with breast cancer, to the next generation. It gives the event immediate emotional weight. It is not just a random charity drive. It is a continuation of the Quartermain matriarchal legacy. When Tracy and Brooklyn immediately agree to support the event, you can feel the generational shift happening right in front of our eyes. But let us not be naive here. Am I supposed to pretend that this makes sense simply as a sweet, innocent childhood endeavor? Absolutely not. Because if you understand how soap storytelling works, you know exactly what Scout is actually doing. Scout is not just organizing a swim, she is staging an emotional ambush. And frankly, it is about time somebody did. Scout is using this exact opportunity to test a theory, to prove that her father's current bizarre state of mind is the result of an external influence. She is looking at Drew, looking at the absolute mess he has become, and she is connecting the dots that the adults in the room are too blind or too compromised to see. I mean, honestly, look at Drew. Look at what the writers have done to this man. Ever since he came back, the character has been stripped of his core identity. We have been forced to watch him make incomprehensible choices, alienate the people who care about him, and act like a man who is entirely disconnected from his own moral compass. I have been screaming at my screen for months, asking why no one is calling this out. So when the writers finally pivot and use his young daughter as the one person who realizes that his new troubles and obsessions are linked to some outside force, I have to applaud the sheer genius of it. Scout is acting as the audience surrogate here. She knows this isn't her real father. She knows there is a new, dark influence pulling his strings. So, what is Scout doing? She is setting a trap. She is using the undeniable moral high ground of Monica's legacy to force Drew's hand. She is hoping, no, she is demanding that Drew shows up to cheer her on. Because if he doesn't, if he is too wrapped up in whatever toxic external influence is currently controlling his life, then she will have the undeniable proof she needs. This is not just a child wanting her daddy at a school play. This is a desperate, calculated rescue mission. Scout is actively trying to save Drew from himself. She is stepping up to be the hero in a storyline where the adults have utterly failed. And this is where the writing gets incredibly sharp, because Scout's actions are not happening in a vacuum. Every move she makes is sending shockwaves through the canvas, and the person feeling the most intense, suffocating pressure right now is Willow. Let's talk about Willow, because I am sorry, but her current narrative arc has been driving me absolutely insane. Willow has been walking around acting like she has everything under control, playing these dangerous emotional games and getting entangled in the exact same mess that is dragging Drew down. She thought she could manage the fallout. She thought she could keep the secrets buried. But now Scout is blowing the doors off the whole thing. By pushing this public, highly emotional event, Scout is dragging everything out into the light. The sheer pressure this puts on Willow is staggering. Willow is now forced to watch a child, Drew's child, fight harder for his soul than anyone else. Scout's relentless push to save her father is holding up a massive, unforgiving mirror to Willow's own hypocrisy and complicity. If Scout succeeds in proving that Drew is being manipulated by outside forces, what does that mean for Willow's role in all of this? The walls are closing in on her, and you can feel the panic setting in. I have to point out how brilliant it is to use a child character to drive this kind of psychological thriller plot. Usually, kids on soaps are just props. They are sent upstairs to find their missing shoes and are not seen again until Christmas. But the choice to give Scout actual agency, to let her be the one who recognizes the shift in Drew's behavior, is a phenomenal writing choice. It grounds the high-stakes drama in very real, very human stakes. It is not about corporate espionage or mob wars. It is about a daughter terrified that she is losing her father to something she cannot quite name, but that she knows is wrong. However, I am also terrified that the writers might fumble this on the 1-yard line. We have seen this happen before. They build up an incredible psychological confrontation only to resolve it with a cheap misunderstanding or an off-screen conversation. They cannot do that here. If Scout has set the stage at the lake, the climax must happen at the lake. We need to see Drew standing on the edge of that water, torn between the dark, external forces that have been driving his recent obsessions and the pure, desperate love of his daughter. The emotional truth of the material demands a massive confrontation. Because think about the layers of history at play here. Tracy Quartermaine does not give her blessing lightly. For Tracy to look at Scout and see the fierce, unrelenting spirit of Monica Quartermaine living on in this child is a massive character beat. Tracy knows what it means to fight for the soul of a family member. Brooklyn knows it too. The Quartermaine women are rallying behind Scout, even if they don't fully understand the true depth of her plan yet. This is what generational storytelling looks like when it is done right. It is not just about nostalgia. It is about using the past to arm the characters for the battles of the present. And what about the external influence on Drew? I am deeply invested in how the writers are going to explain this. Is it a lingering psychological trigger from his past traumas? Is it a new, insidious character pulling his strings? Or is it simply the corrupting nature of his recent ambitions? Whatever it is, Scout's theory that his new troubles are tied to these recent changes is the only thing making sense right now. The writers have painted Drew into a corner where he is almost unlikable. The only way to redeem him is to prove that his agency has been compromised. Scout is throwing him a lifeline, and if he doesn't grab it, the character might be entirely beyond repair. This brings me back to the pressure on Willow. I am completely fascinated by how the writers are using Scout to torture Willow's conscience. Willow has always prided herself on being the moral center, the good person, the one who does the right thing, but right now, she is drowning in her own secrets. Every time Scout talks about saving Drew, every time Scout talks about honoring Monica, it must feel like a dagger to Willow's heart. The contrast between Scout's pure, unselfish mission and Willow's messy, compromised reality is stark. The story is proving that things are going further than ever, and the collateral damage is going to be massive. Will Drew wake up? Will he see what his daughter is doing for him? I am honestly on the edge of my seat, but I am also ready to riot if they take the easy way out. The script demands that Drew faces the reality of his actions. He needs to look at Scout standing by that lake, carrying the weight of Monica's legacy on her small shoulders, and he needs to break. The external influence, whatever it is, needs to shatter against the reality of his daughter's love. If the writers try to stretch this out with more vague, manipulative nonsense, they will lose the audience entirely. Let me wrap this up by saying this. When General Hospital remembers its history, when it allows its characters to act with intelligence and agency, and when it grounds its massive soap opera twists in the deeply personal stakes of family dynamics, there is nothing better on television. Scout's plan at the lake is a powder keg. Tracy and Brooklyn have unwittingly handed her the matches, and Willow is standing right in the blast radius. The riders have set up a flawless collision course. Now, they just have to have the guts to let it explode. I will be watching every single second, and you better believe I will have plenty more to say when the fallout hits.